to the Transition Series, brought to you by Off the Court by the NBPA. And I got my boy, my brother, Caron Butler, Tough Juice, Big East Player of the Year, NBA champion, two-time All-Star, Emmy-nominated, a documentary. My boy CB, a guy I look up to. What's happening, CB?
Hey, look, I need to take you on the road with me, man. You announcing me like that.
I mean, hey, man, look, you earned that type of announcement. That's what I had to, one thing about it, man, I got to give flowers and credit when it's due, man. You earned that, man. Through your hard work and dedication, my brother.
Yeah, I appreciate that, fam.
Man, I'm glad to have you on, man. So, we're going to get right to it, man. And I want to first touch base, man. We teaching these young guys and we just really giving guidance to the guys that's in the league, the guys that's coming up in the league. And, we just trying to drop that good knowledge and insight. And I look up to you as a big brother, man, because everything you're doing post-career is like heading in another direction. And, we just got to drop that knowledge, man, and keep passing it down. I look up to you. Others look up to me. So, like, my first question to you, Tough Juice, is like, we all come from like a similar background, man. We come from the mud. And I think your story is one of the unique ones, in my opinion, man, just from what you had to go through, man, and everything. The Sin is Believing documentary says a lot about it. But I want you to dive further into like your upbringing, your obstacles that you had to overcome, all those type of things growing up to, basically had to get to a place where you are today.
Yeah, and I'm glad I'm able to share this platform with you, man. And that's an excellent spot where to start off at. My family come from Columbus, Mississippi. My grandmother, my uncles, my great uncles, all of them was brought up in the cotton fields, right? So, initially, my great uncle had to leave Mississippi because he had slept with a white woman, and they migrated up north. So that's how our family got to Chicago, Wisconsin, Indiana roots, so all Midwest region. And, my grandmother was the patriarch of the matriarch of the family. She ended up raising all of us and raised me as her own, you know what I'm saying? Because she filled in the void as my father, as I never had. But my mom, she worked multiple jobs. She worked a graveyard shift. She was in the thick of it. But I was exposed to everything that you will be exposed to in grassroots or in the hood. When you're talking about cocaine, when you talk about heroin, when you talk about toting pistols, when you talk about, just survival mode from the beginning, that's what I was exposed to. And people always ask, like, where was the guardians? Or like they was working to provide to make sure that we had a roof over our head. But in the same instance, every male in our family went through the system. Everybody, both of my mother brothers, my older cousins, everybody had, a couple felonies. They was marked up, so that's what I was doing, you know what I mean? Like, and I feel like they passed on the generational curse to me because they felt like they was uplifting me or helping me with giving me a bag or giving me, access to protection, holding pistols at a young age and stuff like that. But in fact, they was passing on a generational curse. So I started going to jail. I started, having run-ins with the law. And what wasn't for long before, I was exposed to the criminal system and being incarcerated.
Wow. Man, that's crazy, man. CB, I thought I had it tough, bro. That's a dope story. But I can understand, man, where you coming from for us, like, what I'm saying, that your upbringing and how the men affect your life because, bad habits can be passed down. But somebody got to break the cycle. You know what I'm saying? Because it's easy to follow that lead because, you see people getting that fast money, that quick money, even though it's the wrong way. But, man, that was pure gold right there, CB. So, that goes into our next conversation, man. And it goes to, you playing in the NBA, you being an OG. But before you became an OG, you was a YG, you know what I'm saying? You played with two generations, though. You was a young boy that grew up and an old head. I just want you to talk about, the difference between the two, what you learned from like your old heads and what you passed down to the younger guys that looked up to you as while you were playing?
Man, you know, the first thing that I was very, very fortunate I had my first child when I was 13 and a half years old, right? So when I came to the NBA, my disposition was just different. You know what I mean? Like I had a different mentality. I knew that it wasn't room and margin for error. So my mindset was just, you know, providing and, you know, leaving something for my legacy, which was my descendants, my kid. And, you know, I'm always grateful when I got drafted by the Miami Heat because it's a sense of culture and it's a sense of consistency. And they was one of the few organizations in the NBA that got it right when you talk about this taking young people and teaching them how to be professionals and stay consistent in their craft, not only on the court, but off the court. And I had Alonzo Mourning. That was the kidney year where he was going through all that off the court stuff. But at the same time, him, Eddie Jones, Bimbo Coles, Brian Grant, Fonzo Ellis, you know, guys, our peers now that you see in the media space, you know, they was like this extremely influential in my life where the do's and don'ts, where I was first generational riches, just like all these brothers that's watching this probably will be, like yourself as well. And, you know, we knew how to survive, but it's a different way of surviving when you're thinking about first generational riches because you're prepping and preparing the family for the long haul, like generational wealth. So like they taught me a lot about that. They was like, man, don't do this, invest in this, the nightlife, things that you can be exposed to. Right. You know, don't let that shit like take you down the wrong path. Right. And that was the best thing that ever happened to me because those brothers like poured into me and planted seeds of information that changed me forever, that made me better.
No, I agree, man. And I always preach to these young guys, like, you know, man, I had great vets, man. Like, I had great vets because, you know, like I know, man, the average years for NBA is what, 3.5, 4 years. But me and you both surpassed it. You know what I'm saying? And people don't understand, like, man, it's a blessing to get 10 plus, like, in the league. It's a blessing. And it's so many times, man, that, you know, we didn't have rookies come in and we try to teach them, you know what I'm saying? Not just on the court and how to work hard, but what not to do off the court. You know what I'm saying? Like my grandfather used to always tell me, it ain't what you do, it's how you do it. Like, and I think you got to find that fine line and balancing out the two. Like, yeah, no one is saying you can't have fun, like while you're playing basketball, but it's a fine line to how you got to do it. I mean, you could go out, but you got to pick and choose when you're going to go out and about, you know, when you're on the road and stuff like that. And I think, you know, us dropping this type of wisdom, man, like for these youngsters, they need to hear this. You know what I'm saying?
Got to do that shit. You know, I always tell them, you just got to do that shit in moderation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't be out here, you know, robbing Peter to pay Paul. You know what I'm saying? Like, going off the deep end with the shit. Right. Like, you got to do everything in moderation, man, and police yourself and your habits. Because what you're being exposed to, like, this is a lot of first-time shit. You may have been out before, you just ain't never been out while being rich.
Right.
You know? And so, like, it's a different component. You know, like a lot of the dudes, I'm telling you, I always say this. A lot of you brothers, man, don't fool yourself. You're ugly. You are ugly. And when they say with the 5th pick or with the 8th pick, all of a sudden you become cute as hell. And it's a different attraction that you're going to get in the nightlife and on the scene. So just take it for what it's worth, man.
Man, that's real, dog. That's real. But, like, even that, man, with a great career, like I said before, man, 2-time All-Star, NBA champion, you know, played a lot of years at an extremely high level, you know, and then you're transitioning over after basketball. Like, and I know one of your good brothers, a guy that we all look up to, God rest his soul, Kobe Bryant, man, was his second career was about to be as great as his first career. And that's crazy to say, right? But, I mean, like, it's just real. And I see you going in that direction, man. And, you know, I don't know if you know this, but you and I share the same financial advisor, Gary Shaw. Yep. And Gary always called me, Perk, man. You and Caron are making me so proud. I never seen a guy like that. I say, man, what CB is doing right now, man, he taking this shit to another level, Gary. I said, yeah, I'm doing my part, but CB is inspiration, man. Like he's into this, he's into that, he's inspiring, he's giving back, he's doing it at a whole nother level and took it further. So, like, I want you just to share some knowledge, man, to even the brotherhood and some of the brothers that are retired that just need a little knowledge, man, because I look up to you. I'm not just saying this shit because we doing the interview. You know, I'll call and tell you, like, nah, dog, I look up to you. Like, and I just want, you know, some of the steps and how you go about your everyday life, you know, being that, because one thing I notice about you, and I don't know if you noticed, but I look up to you, man, because I'm like you, man, I got a family. And I think I'm huge on my family. I love my wife. I love my kids, man. I've been with my wife since the 10th grade. And so when I watch you and I watch how you are with your family, man, as a whole, man, that's inspiring. So I just want you to, like, give us a little insight, man, like on how you go about things post-career, man, and how you, because you're shining a light on us, brother, and I don't know if you realize it or not.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. And, you know, I do, man. Like that phone call you gave me about a couple weeks ago, like 2 weeks ago, man, that hit home, man, because a lot of the times you just got your head down and you just working and you grinding and you're in the thick of it. And when you look up, you know, so much time passed, but to know that you moving in a way that's appealing to people and your peers and people that honestly look up to you and just like flattered by some of the things that you do, man, that means a lot. But I sat down with Kobe our last time we had dinner, probably about, probably 2 months prior to everything that happened. And, we were just talking about our second acts and what we wanted to see happen. And he was just like, bro, your second act gonna be way better than your first, man. And, we're going to build content. We're going to create this content universe. We're going to be inspiring these kids and planting seeds. And this, man, it's exposing them to new opportunities. And the reason why so many of those doors was open was because I always tell players this: the roar of the crowd is not for you. It's for what you can do. And when you can't do it, they'll be cheering for somebody else. So you have to put yourself in position while you're in position, and you'll never be out of position. So while you're traveling all over the world and you going to these various cities, people immediately use like these carrots, like to go to the club, to go to this. So that shit gonna be there. Like, it's gonna be there. Like, make sure that you network with some of the fundraisers and people that got access to amazing capital and this great energy that's sitting courtside in the skyboxes. Go out your way to have those relationships so, you can navigate in the business space, because unless you a short handful of people that made astronomical figures playing a game of basketball, you're going to want to do something else afterwards. And, that pot going to get low. Look, I made over $100 million playing basketball, but at the same time, it's like, I got a family and I'm creating wealth, and I want my kids to live the same lifestyle that I lived and even better. You know what I'm saying? And I want my grandkids to live a better lifestyle than they live. So it's up to me to set the foundation strong and right. So I surround myself with great people. I created my own capital fund. I start investing strategically into different spaces. You know what I'm saying? Whether it was real estate, whether it was, franchising, whether it was, writing books and owning my content, owning my publishing, going about that way the right way. And I was just exposed to different things. And look, the information is out there. I'm not one of those dudes that like post everything on Twitter, like my private life. But if you do your research, I'm always available. I'll make myself available to, teach you some of the lessons that I've learned, and I always say that to folks when they hit me in the DM or something. I'm like, hey, dog, look, you ever in LA? Come sit with me. I can expose you to something different, or we can educate each other and inform each other. So I think that's what it's all about.
Man, I'm ACB, man. I'm changing your name, dog, to Caron Jakes. It's the gospel right there, dog. You just gave us. And it's crazy because I had a quick question, like, to piggyback off of what you just said, that good gospel. Like, man, I see you with the businesses, man. I see you, like, I'm thinking about your story now, like, transitioning from, like, working at a Burger King to owning them. You know what I'm saying? And now your foundation, the Caron Butler Foundation, and like how you're working with the diabetes and raising money and being inspiring in those fields. Like, talk about real quick just the entrepreneur Caron Butler. Like, I know you just gave us some gospel, but like dive a little bit more into the details of, like, you know what I'm saying, what came about for us. I know the story about you and far as how you went to work at Burger King, and man, like, you, when you got to the league, you invested in the franchise and now you own them. But like, dive into the diabetes and what made you go that route for the people who don't know. Cause I know everything about you. I study you like a book, but for the people that don't know.
So I would say this, the Burger King thing that came along where, you know, as a player being in it, it was a football player and myself that we was talking about our first jobs, and ESPN had a cover shoot. And I arrived like, you know, 90 minutes, hour early to the cover shoot. And this football player was like 2 hours late. But in the midst of me coming early, I created a relationship with some of the franchisee owners. And they was there, you know, paying for the cover shoot because it was a partnership with ESPN. So I arrived early and then a relationship had formed. And they was like, yo, you know, I was like, yo, I used to work at Burger King. They're like, hey, if you want to ever get in the franchise business, you know, instead of, you know, charging $300,000 per franchise, we'll give you this rate and you can be an owner and get into the space. And I was like, oh shit. All because I was there early before this guy was there. And I got the cover where we supposed to have shared the cover because we both worked at Burger King. But they gave me the cover on the strength of me being early in that relationship that was created in that moment.
That's crazy.
You know? Yeah, man, it's crazy. Also, like, I serve on the VERA board. It's the biggest board that addresses mass incarceration in the country. And it's been around the longest. And that relationship of what I'm doing is traveling around the country, being exposed to the correctional system in a different light and having a different observation. And then I'm able to help change laws. Like, we got over 25, 30,000 people released out of corrections in this COVID situation. Now, that's not a high number when you think about 2.5 being in jail, 2.5 million, but still, that's better than nothing. Man. You know, so, like, that's like from the Caron Butler Foundation, from an advocacy standpoint, that's some of the stuff I'm doing. And then just with the JDRF, with juvenile diabetes, my daughter was diagnosed a year ago today. Wow. She's 8 years old. She was diagnosed at the age of 7. People always say, like, it's, you know, just watch what you eat. No, my daughter has an underperforming pancreas, and her body does not produce insulin. So for the rest of her life, she'll have to take insulin and wear a Dexcon, and she is totally manageable. She'll be fine. She's strong. But the reason why I got into that space was because my daughter, my hero, she, you know, she was diagnosed with diabetes. And, you know, I always been like, you know what? I want to be the biggest advocate for this thing. Like, it's a community that we don't want to be in. Right. You know what I mean? But unfortunately we are. So how can I help? You know, so we just start, you know, doing a lot of education work where people just be like, you know, I thought that it was basically what you eat. No, it's not. Sometimes, you know, you can inherit it. Sometimes it's, you know, because you inherited bad habits. Type 2 is that. But type 1 is because something in your body from an organic standpoint, organ standpoint, mean that it's not functioning. So that was just the educational lesson that we travel around the world and do together, me and my daughter.
And see, people don't understand, man, and I'm glad you touched on that, man. It's like when you're a devoted husband and a devoted, you know, father, man, and you love your family like you do, man. When it hit home, it hit different. Just like, you know, and earlier I heard you brought up a point, like you had your first child at the age of 13, man. People who don't have kids can't relate to this. If you have kids that what I'm trying to explain is that when you have a child and you're a father that actually love your kid and want to be a part, it changed your whole perspective on thinking, man. Like that. You go about life totally different. You instantly put yourself second because they come first. You know what I'm saying? That's period, point blank. And I love, man, what you're doing for all the homies out there, man, that's locked up, man, because, you know, like, man, I did a couple of times where I had to go to jail, CB. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was like for 2 weeks and 5 days, but I still had to go in there and I had to see,
right.
you know what I'm saying? I had to see what it was about. And still to this day, man, the last time I went, I was like, never again. I was so stressed out. But you hear so many stories, man, and so many people that's wrongfully convicted in there, man. And it's great that you're looking out for them because I got a lot of cousins, you know, I'm the only child, but I got a lot of cousins, man, that came out of jail. They trying to do right, and it's so hard for them to get a job and this, that, and the other. And some people that got so much time that they didn't deserve that much time. You know what I'm saying? Got 40 years for some BS. You know what I'm saying? So, man, that's great because they matter too, man. And we all make mistakes, man, in life and go through things. So I'm not ever the one to judge somebody. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like we all don't have flaws, man. So I think that's great, man. And see, I just got a couple more questions. And one is something that you and I both are in right now, and that's the media world. By the way, my boy CB got the Tough Juice podcast, man. It be popping. You know what I'm saying? It be a lot of positivity, chill. Got some great guests that been on there. So y'all make sure y'all check them out. But I just want you to talk about like your transition into the media world and like when you go about doing media, what's your thought process? Obviously, we got to talk about the game of basketball, and I'm kind of more uncut on some ends, but I watch you and you're speaking and you're more of a, now I'm gonna drop this knowledge. You know what I'm saying? I'm dropping knowledge. You know, this positive knowledge. Every time I turn it on, it's always you being showing like it's a positive knowledge, even when it's constructive criticism about somebody or a team, but it's a positive vibe, man. So tell me how you go about it. That's just from me, my thoughts. I may be wrong, but that's how I look at it, bro.
Absolutely. You know what? I've been coached by, multiple Hall of Famers, right? And you share like that wide basketball knowledge as well, where I had Jim Calhoun's a Hall of Famer. You can't tell the story of college basketball coaching without mentioning him. Pat Riley, Stan Van Gundy, Eric Spoelstra, Phil Jackson, I was exposed to him, Rudy T. Just so many names, and I had George Crowell on the back end. And then when I look at my basketball life, some of the superstars that I was able to play with, and then, I was able to hold my own on this platform as well. So it's like, okay, you have a different observation. And then what I try to do is, with that observation, I take all the lessons that I learned, whether it's in film session, chalk talk, whatever the case may be, and I just try to inform and educate, because some people may not look at it like how you're looking at it. And I don't ever want to take a position, but I'll make a educated opinion on something, and then that's just my position. You know what I mean? I try not to choose sides in the sports space just because, that can be a little weary at times, but I just try to just be honest to a fault, just authentic and honest, and let the chips fall where they may. And I think that people appreciate that perspective and that observation, and it lasts. You know what I mean? It lasts long because people are like, damn, I actually learned something from that observation. Because like somebody may, like right now, The Last Dance came out, right? And everybody going crazy. Michael Jordan better, LeBron better. Who the fuck knows? But, it's like you can make an amazing argument that Jordan better. And then I could say LeBron, like that motherfucker, he did everything. But, at the end of the day, they GOATs, they kings, and we better for having them.
Yeah.
Like, they taught us a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that would be my position on it, because like only in our sport where we have, kings, black and brown individuals, that we always put the legacies against each other. I don't see that happening so much like in an NFL and the MLB. And that's why I be like, I can't fall in that trap. So I just try to just be authentic, but at the same time, just from my perspective, give an education lesson.
Nah, that's strong, brother. That's strong. And see, and I feel you on that, because you know, I have to, at times, I get caught of, you know how it is when they send you those topics, you know, it's certain shows that you got to go on where it got to be a debate.
Yeah, it's one-sided. It's like this side and that side.
You can't straddle the fence, and people don't understand that. And so what I always try to do is, if I know I'm going with, say it's the LeBron and MJ conversation, and say I'm going with Bron, the first thing I want to do is make sure I give MJ his flowers first. But I'm not, because my thing is, I don't have to tear down MJ to praise LeBron. Just like you don't have to tear down Bron to praise MJ. And this is the conversation. Yeah, we get on shows and it's all fun debate, man, but it's our job. But at the end of the day, you shouldn't be losing any sleep about it. And that's what I be trying to preach to the people is that, man, I'm on here and I'm a debate. I could talk basketball all day and I bring up my point, and then I could be persuaded to saying, you know what? I ain't even think about that. Let me think about it. But my whole thing is that, you know, when you're debating certain things, and I'm talking to the youngsters, like who want to go into the media world, like even with the GOAT topic. Hey, man, some people like to drink Coke. Some people like to drink Pepsi, and others like to drink Dr. Pepper. I can't knock a person for the flavor of soda that they like. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing that I have to tell people, like, you can't knock somebody for saying this, they go, because I can go talk to all my great uncles, and, you know, they may say that Kareem is the GOAT and go argue it to this day. Like, yeah, quick, and go stand by it. You know, when you drinking the middle lights and playing dominoes on the back porch, you know, they ready to argue. But, man, I just think, man, the way you transition into the media world, man, I'll be watching on NBA TV, your podcast, man. I just think the way you go about it with your platform is powerful because to be honest, CB, and it's your choice, but I actually see you as being like, you know what I'm saying, a president of operations. Like, I see you over a franchise. Like, that's who I see you being, dog. I mean, just because your knowledge, your eye test, the way you know the game, the way you could evaluate talent, like, I see you doing that, man. So I don't know if that's in your plans, but if it come up, hey, just say, hey, man, I was one of the ones that called you first. Like, I could see you leading because I think, man, and it's real quick before we close, I think, man, we need guys like former players like yourself, Jamal Crawford, you know what I'm saying, Chauncey Billups, that's back in these front offices, man, like, you know what I'm saying, leading the way, man, because, you know, and there's no knock, but everybody's caught on this analytics and all this stuff, but we don't have enough guys who actually played the game. And I think when you circle back on it and look at today's game right now, you look at it, and to me, the best GMs in the game, in my opinion, is the guys like Danny Ainge and Pat Riley. You know what I'm saying? Like, because it's the eye test, and they hire people up under them that's going to evaluate with their eyes. Like, think about it. Man, the Heat is starting Kendrick Nunn. 2 years ago, it was about 25 teams that said Kendrick Nunn wasn't going to even be an NBA player. Here it is, man. He's starting right now for the Miami Heat and doing extremely well. Like,
they could take a 2-star player. I don't know, like if you in the war room, you understand like what a 1-star, 2-star, 3-star.
Yeah.
So LeBron's a 5-star off the chart, like he's a unicorn. Just to give some perspective to that, but like they could take a 2-star athlete and turn him to a 4-star or all-star or a consistent 3.5-star. So that means that's a guy that's beyond a rotation player.
Right.
That's, you know, just going to have 10 years, 7 to 10 years in the NBA, consistent. You know what I mean? Like, that's what the Heat culture is all about. To your point, like they do an eye test, and they know a guy that can make it, and they excel all and exceed all expectations. So it's special to watch what that franchise. But there's other organizations out there like that too, but it's like a handful.
Yeah, it's a handful. But, man, when you talk about that Heat culture, man, it's different, dog, because it was built from the ground up. By the way, in my opinion, people was mad at me, but Eric Spoelstra is one of my top 5 greatest coaches of all time.
Hands down.
Not a debate. I love his story. I love everything about him. But, you know, like even me growing up in that Boston Celtics thing, Danny Ainge to me is like one of the best GMs in the world. Just think about this real quick, CB. he traded his #1 pick to Philly, knowing that he was taking Jason Tatum anyway with the 3rd pick and got back more. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is what I'm talking about when you know what I'm saying, with these former players and guys that been around the league with the eye test. You know what I'm saying? Then, like, with Danny, man, I could just share a quick story. My 8.5 years there in Boston, he used to always be honest with me. Hey, Perk, I'm leaving for a month and a half. I'm going out and scout to try to find somebody to replace you, Rondo, Paul, KG, and used to tell us that. Like, you could, yeah, like you could respect the honesty though. But you know, that's neither here nor there, man. But CB, man, I just want you to know, man, I appreciate you. I appreciate everything that you're doing, man. Post career, like right now, what you did in your career, that's already cemented. But what you're doing now, post-career, bro, man, it speaks volumes, dog. Like, and guys like myself, man, I look up to you for that, man. And I just want you to know, dog, thank you. I appreciate you. We appreciate you. And I appreciate your time, man, for coming on and dropping this knowledge, not only on the younger guys that's going to see this or watching this right now, but even dropping the knowledge on me. Because you put some more. You don't even know you was just you was speaking the gospel, but I'm sitting back thinking in my mind like, okay, cool, got you. All right, see, he was supposed to be here at 2:00. He got there at 12:30. All right, yeah, I'm right here registering all that though, CB, because you just never know, man. So I just want to say, man, appreciate you, man. Keep being inspiring to everybody, man. What you doing right now for us, everything off the court, and more so, dog, what you doing with your family. With your family, man, that holds weight with me, bro, to the utmost, man. And it's much love, dog, and I appreciate it, my brother.
Yeah, I love you, little bro, man. And look, this only reason, one of the 2 reasons, obviously, you being the first one, man, was just being able to share this platform with you. You know what I mean? You reached out, you said, let's do it. I was like, all right, bro, I'm in. You know what I mean? Because we don't get a chance to work with each other often because we with different platforms, but you know, to be able to share this platform together and give a wealth of knowledge and insight from our perspective, you know, to the young and up and coming, I think is needed. I think it's paramount to continue to do that. And you did an excellent job, man. Just talking on some of the talking points and making sure that we got right to it, to the meat and potatoes of it. Yep. So I hope that information don't fall on mute ears, and I hope that people, you know, learn from this because we just gave them some 100-proof shit. Like, this shit was real. It was authentic. It was shot straight from the hip.
Yeah, hey, youngsters, listen, man, you can't play basketball all your life. You better start thinking. Serious talk. You better start thinking. Them NBA years go by fast. But I appreciate you, CB. I love you, big bro, man. So,
what's up, family?
All right, man.